The microphone feedback squealed like a dying cat, a high-pitched shriek that cut through the low, restless murmur of the town hall crowd. I stood in the back of the auditorium, leaning my shoulder against the grimy soundboard casing, wishing I could dissolve into the heavy, dust-filled velvet curtains. It wasn't my feedback. I'd personally checked the levels 3 times, routing the audio through my own mixer, but the glare Mayor Ashley Mendoza shot toward the tech booth felt entirely personal. She stood on stage, a solitary figure under the harsh glare of the spotlight. 40 years of immaculate poise wrapped in a tailored navy blazer, scuffed heels hidden behind the podium. The air in the room was thick with humidity, the smell of floor wax, and hostility. This wasn't a town hall, it was an ambush. The moderator, a local high school principal who looked terrified, checked his watch. "We have time for one more question." "Row 3, Mayor Mendoza," a man shouted, standing up without waiting for the mic runner. It was Henderson, a landlord with a well-known grudge against Ashley's zoning reforms. He didn't even glance at the runner, he stood like he'd rehearsed it, eyes flicking once toward Councilman Thorne's row before he spoke. Someone in Thorne's row, a junior aide in a gray suit, nodded, a microscopic dip of the chin like they'd just heard the right cue. "You talk about efficiency," Henderson boomed, projecting his voice to the back rows. "But isn't it true you fired your last chief of staff because he refused to work weekends? You run this city like a machine, not a community." Ashley adjusted the podium mic. Her hand didn't shake, but I saw the tendon in her neck tighten, a steel cable snapping into place. "Mr. Henderson," she said, her voice cool and level, "my staff works hard because we have a city to run. Potholes don't take the weekend off. And neither does public service. Next question." "Cold?" Henderson muttered, loud enough for the front 3 rows to hear. No wonder she can't keep a staff. The room rippled with awkward laughter. It was a cruel sound, low and rolling, the sound of a crowd turning into a mob. I should have stayed quiet. I was just the new campaign manager, hired exactly 48 hours ago to stop the bleeding in the polls. My job was strategy, logistics, and making sure the coffee was hot. I was a single dad who needed this paycheck to cover Leo's preschool tuition, not a knight in shining armor. I had spent the last year consulting for school boards, staying out of the big fights, but looking at Ashley standing there, alone in the spotlight, waiting for the jeers to die down, something in my chest tightened. I hate bullies. And I really, really hate bad jokes. I keyed my headset mic, which was patched directly into the main house speakers. One button, and the whole hall would hear me. "Actually, sir," my voice boomed through the hall, startling everyone, including the sound tech next to me. "She didn't fire him. He left to pursue his dream of becoming a professional mime. We haven't heard from him since." Silence. Absolute, stunned silence. The absurdity of the statement hung in the air like smoke. Then, a giggle from the back row. Then a chuckle. The tension popped like a cheap balloon, and the room dissolved into laughter. It wasn't laughing at her anymore. It was laughing at the sheer ridiculousness of the moment. Henderson looked around, confused, his attack deflated. Ashley looked up, squinting into the darkness at the back of the room. She couldn't see me past the lights, but she knew. She didn't look grateful. She looked like she was mentally calculating exactly how much severance pay she would legally have to give me if she fired me on the spot. I winced, sliding the headset off. "Shut up, Wayne. Just shut up." 20 minutes later, the hall was empty. The janitors were sweeping up flyers. Ashley was backstage in the green room, packing her notes into her briefcase with aggressive precision. Snap. Zip. Click. "A mime?" she asked, not looking up. Her tone was colder than the AC vent rattling above us. "It diffused the tension," I said, leaning against the doorframe. "Humor resets the room." Sun Tzu said that. Probably. Or maybe it was Jerry Seinfeld. She snapped her briefcase shut and finally looked at me. Up close, the fatigue was visible under her high-definition foundation. There were shadows under her eyes that no amount of concealer could hide. "Mr. Garcia, I hired you because you won the district attorney race in Seattle with a budget of $12 and a pack of gum. I hired you for your brain, not for your stand-up routine. Thorn isn't attacking your brain, Ashley, I said, dropping the joke. He's attacking your temperature. He's painting you as a robot. A joke proves you have a pulse. Thorn is going to use that clip, she countered, walking past me toward the exit. Headlines tomorrow. Mayor's campaign manager mocks constituent. You're making me look unprofessional. I fell into step beside her, our footsteps echoing in the concrete hallway. Thorn is already making you look like a machine. A joke is an upgrade. It makes you human. I don't need to be human. I need to be re-elected. I have a housing bill stuck in committee that dies if I lose this seat. Voters don't vote for bills, I said, holding the heavy stage door open for her. They vote for people they'd want to have a beer with. Or at least people they don't think sleep in a cryo chamber. She stopped at the door. The night air was humid and smelled of rain. I barely sleep at all, she muttered, rubbing her temples. Are the talking points ready for the debate on Thursday? They're on your desk. And I included a section on how to smile without looking like you're in pain. She narrowed her eyes at me. You're fired. You can't fire me. I have the keys to the HQ. I'm the only one who knows the password to the donor database, and I make the best coffee in the tri-state area. Fine, she sighed, the fight draining out of her. But if you make one more mime joke, I'm deporting you to a swing state. Go home, Wayne. She walked out into the night, shoulders squared. A warrior marching into a battle she was losing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Mrs. Gable, the babysitter. Leo threw up. Green beans. Everywhere. Come home. I closed my eyes. Great. Mime jokes and vomit. The glamour of politics. The next morning, the campaign HQ, a repurposed storefront that smelled permanently of toner, cheap carpet adhesive, and stale donuts, was in chaos. The phones were ringing off the hook, a cacophony of ringtones that sounded like a panic attack set to music. Sarah, the 20-something assistant who ran on caffeine and anxiety, intercepted me the moment I walked in with Leo on my hip. Wayne, Sarah squeaked, shoving a tablet in my face. Thorn released an ad at 6 a.m. Also, the server logged a weird remote access attempt at 2 a.m. last night. The IT guy is freaking out. Deal with the server later, I said, shifting Leo to my other hip. Show me the ad. I looked at the screen. The video was slick. High production value. Ominous music played over black and white photos of Ashley looking stern at a funeral. A narrator intoned, Ashley Mendoza. She cuts budgets, she cuts staff, she cuts ties. Too busy for her family, too busy for you. Can we trust a woman who can't even keep her own house in order? The screen flashed a grainy paparazzi photo of Ashley leaving the courthouse during her divorce, looking alone and devastated. It was low. It was dirty. It was effective. Where do I put Leo? I asked. Conference room, Sarah said. Here comes the mayor. Ashley stormed out of her office. She wasn't wearing her blazer yet. She was in a silk blouse, sleeves rolled up. She looked furious. Did you see it? She demanded. I saw it, I said, putting Leo down and guiding him toward Sarah. It's garbage, Ashley. It's a character assassination because he can't beat you on the zoning laws. It's polling well, she snapped, pacing the narrow aisle. My favorables with suburban moms just dropped 4 points. They think I'm cold, unfeeling, a career woman who sacrificed her family for power. She stopped pacing when she saw Leo sitting at the conference table, meticulously organizing crayons by color. Her face softened, the anger momentarily replaced by confusion. Who is this? This is Leo, I said. School holiday? Teacher training? Leo looked up, waving a blue crayon. Hi. My dad says you're the boss. Like the king? Ashley looked at me, then at Leo. A faint smile touched her lips, gone before it could fully form. I am. Don't let him forget it. She turned back to me, the armor slamming back into place. Fix this, Wayne. Get me an interview. Somewhere soft. A morning show. I need to look. Maternal. Accessible. Fake won't work, I said. If you go on TV and try to bake cookies, Thorn will eat you alive. It'll look performative. I don't pay you to pivot, she slammed her hand on a stack of flyers. I pay you to fix it. Get me the interview. She marched back into her office and slammed the door. I looked at Leo. She's nice once you get past the spikes, I told him. Leo shrugged. Like a porcupine? Exactly like a porcupine. I walked over to Sarah's desk. Get Rick from Channel 5. Tell him we'll give him an exclusive sit-down. But tell him no prepared questions. We're going live. The interview was a disaster waiting to happen. We set it up in a local coffee shop. Ashley was wearing a pastel yellow sweater that I knew she hated. She sat stiffly, hands folded on the table. Rick, the reporter, leaned in with a predatory grin. So, Mayor, Rick said, your opponent says you prioritize your career over traditional values. How do you respond to the claim that you've lost touch with the families of this city? Ashley's smile was tight. I prioritize the citizens of this city, Rick. My personal life is not on the ballot. But voters are curious, Rick pressed. You're single. You're intensely focused. Some say detached. Can you relate to the struggles of a normal household? I was standing behind the camera crew. I saw Ashley's hand clench under the table. She was about to snap. She was about to give them the angry soundbite they wanted. I stepped forward, holding a stack of papers. As I passed the lighting rig, I hooked my foot around the stand of a reflector shield. Clang! The metal stand crashed to the floor. It wasn't dangerous, but it was loud. Everyone jumped. The camera swung wildly to me. Whoops, I said, grinning sheepishly. Hands up. Sorry. Rick frowned. Mr. Garcia, we're live. I know, Rick. My apologies. I walked right up to the table, entering the frame. I picked up a napkin as if to clean a non-existent spill. But since you asked about families, I'm a single dad. I work for Ashley because she's the only politician in this city who actually reads the child care subsidy bills before signing them. I looked at Ashley. She was staring at me, wide-eyed. She might be busy, I said, looking back at the camera lens. She might not bake cookies on Instagram. But when my kid got sick last week, she fought for the municipal plan that covered the bill. She shows up where it counts. That's what matters, not the photo ops. Silence. Rick looked flustered. The narrative had been hijacked. Well, Rick stammered. Thank you for that insight, Mr. Garcia. Back to you, Mayor, I said, stepping out of the frame. They cut to commercial 30 seconds later. Ashley stood up, ripping the lavalier mic off her sweater. She grabbed my arm and dragged me toward the exit. What was that? She hissed. That was a pivot, I said, opening the door for her. And I saved you from calling him a moron on live TV. I wasn't going to call him a moron. You were thinking it. Your left eyebrow twitched. We stood on the sidewalk. She let go of my arm. She looked at me, really looked at me. You used your kid as a shield? She said softly. I used the truth, I corrected. You do read the bills. Thorne doesn't. People need to know that's a feature, not a bug. She sighed, the anger deflating. Fine. It worked. Sarah just texted. Twitter is calling you a protective tiger, Dad? I aim to please. Don't get used to it, she warned, but there was a ghost of a smile. And next time you crash my interview, try not to break the lighting equipment. It comes out of the budget. The campaign entered a brutal, grinding rhythm. We were 6 weeks out. It was late nights, stale pizza, and endless strategy sessions. I noticed her schedule was a nightmare, 12 meetings a day, 0 breaks. She was running on fumes. So, I intervened. I accessed the shared calendar and started deleting. I blocked out 2 hours every afternoon. Why is my calendar empty between 2 and 4? Ashley demanded the next day, storming over to my desk. It's not empty, I said, not looking up from a polling spreadsheet. It's a firewall. You need to eat, read, and breathe. If you burn out, we lose. Consider it a strategic resource allocation. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Fine, she muttered. But if I miss a donor call, it's on you. I already rescheduled the donors, I said. They prefer morning calls anyway. She paused. Oh. She walked away, but I saw her shoulders drop an inch. It was a small win, but it mattered. Leo became a fixture at the office. The HQ was his playground. He had his own desk in the corner where he drew campaign posters that mostly featured dinosaurs eating Thorn. One evening, I found Ashley sitting on the floor of the conference room with Leo. She had taken off her blazer and was helping him assemble a complex Lego castle. "You need a structural base here," she was explaining seriously. "If the foundation isn't square, the tower will lean." "Like the leaning tower of Pizza?" Leo asked. "Pizza," she corrected gently. "And yes, but we want this one straight." She looked up and saw me watching. She didn't scramble to get up. She just smiled. A small, tired, real smile. "He's a good architect," she said. "Better spatial reasoning than my zoning commissioner. He gets it from his mother," I said quietly. Her expression shifted. "Is she?" "She left," I said. 3 years ago. Said the dad life wasn't the adventure she signed up for? Ashley nodded slowly. "People leave when the math gets hard," she said. "My ex, he wanted a wife who was an ornament. I tried to be smaller for him. It didn't work." "Good," I said. "Good? The city doesn't need a small mayor." We held eye contact for a beat too long. The air in the room felt different, heavy with understanding. Later that night, it was just the two of us. Leo was asleep on the couch in her office. We were reviewing budget proposals. "You look tired," I said from the floor, sorting files. "I am tired," she admitted, leaning back in her chair. She took off her glasses. "Thorn's people are digging. Sarah told me they're looking for dirt on my divorce." "There is no dirt," I said. "You just grew apart." In politics, grew apart means secret scandal. They'll invent something. She closed her eyes. "Sometimes I wonder why I do this. Why I put myself through the grinder." "Because you like fixing things," I said. "You see a pothole, you want to fill it. You see a budget gap, you want to close it. It's a compulsion." She laughed softly. "Is it that obvious?" I recognize the symptoms. I have the same problem, except I fix disasters with bad jokes and logistical miracles. She stood up and walked around the desk. She sat on the edge of it, looking down at me. "You're good at it," she said. "The jokes, they make people feel safe, like you're not taking it too seriously, so they don't have to be scared. That's the trick. If you're laughing, you're not panicking. And you? Are you panicking?" "Always," I said honestly. "I'm a single dad in a high-stakes job with a bank account that cries when I open it. I'm terrified I'm going to mess up Leo. I'm terrified I'm going to lose this election for you. You hide it well. I learned from the best." She looked at me with dark, intelligent eyes. "You think I'm cold, Wayne?" "I think you're armored," I said. "There's a difference." She leaned in slightly. "Some people think armor makes you untouchable. Armor has joints," I said. "Weak spots. You just have to know where to look." The moment hung there, quiet and heavy. The hum of the rain faded. Then Leo shifted on the couch, murmuring in his sleep. We both pulled back. The spell broke. "We should finish the budget," she said, standing up quickly. "Yeah," I said, clearing my throat. "Budget. Right." 3 days later, the bomb dropped. I was at the copier when Sarah ran in, pale as a sheet. "Wayne, you need to see this." And the server logs. "I think I know what that 2 a.m. login was." She pulled up a Facebook page, a local concerned citizens group. There was a post, a photo. It was grainy, taken through a rainy window at night. It showed me and Ashley in her office. From the angle, it looked intimate. The caption read, "Mayor Mendoza's late-night strategy sessions with her campaign manager. Is taxpayer money funding her private life?" And below it, a comment from a verified account. "Sources say he's leveraging his position. The single dad sob story is a cover." "Thorn," I growled. "That slime ball." The door to Ashley's office flew open. She stood there, holding her tablet. Her face was stone. "Into my office," she said. "Now." I walked in. She stood behind her desk, putting the barrier back up. "They're saying I hired you for favors," she said, her voice shaking with rage. "They're saying I'm incompetent and compromised." "It's a lie," I said. "We deny it. We released the budget logs." "It doesn't matter if it's a lie," she shouted. "It's out there. My poll numbers will tank. The donors are already calling. She looked at me, and for the first time, I saw fear. Real fear. Not of losing the election, but of losing her dignity. I have to fire you, she whispered. I froze. What? If I fire you, it looks like I'm cleaning house, like I'm taking charge. If I keep you, it looks like the rumors are true. Ashley, don't do this. We're a team. I can't be a team right now, Wayne. I have to be a mayor. She turned toward the window. I'll give you 3 months severance, but you need to go. Today. I stared at the severance envelope she slid across the desk. The paper edge was sharp enough to cut. I didn't argue. I didn't try to pivot. I just picked up the box, the weight of it settling in my chest like lead, and walked out. The blinds in her office snapped shut behind me, the sound of a door locking from the inside. I woke up Leo. Are we leaving? Leo asked. Yeah, buddy, I said. Project's over. The next week was a blur. I sat in my apartment, watching the news. Ashley was plummeting in the polls. Without me, she had reverted to defensive and cold. Thorne was winning. I should have walked away. But I couldn't. I kept thinking about that server log Sarah mentioned. I sat at my kitchen table, Leo watching cartoons in the next room. I opened my laptop. I wasn't an IT expert, but I knew patterns. I called Sarah. Sarah, I said, are you alone? Wayne? I can't talk to you. Ashley. Ashley is going to lose unless you help me. That login at 2 a.m. Did you trace the IP? I tried, she whispered. It bounced through a VPN. Check the timestamp again, I said, and cross-reference it with the security camera outage. Someone didn't just hack in. They turned the cameras off so they could plant the device that took the photo, or they took it from inside. Silence on the line. Then the sound of typing. Oh my God, Sarah breathed. The outage was manual. Someone physically rebooted the router in the server room. Who had keycard access at 2 a.m.? I asked. A pause. Only 3 people. Ashley, me, and the janitorial service. Thorne's cousin owns the cleaning company, I said, the pieces clicking into place. It wasn't a leak. It was a break-in. I have the logs, Sarah said. It shows the keycard swipe. It's Thorne Sanitation, the old vendor. We never deactivated their cards. He hacked us, I said. The Rage Building. He staged the photo. I sent the logs to Rick at Channel 5, Sarah said. Rick ran the server log hash against the city's off-site backup and cross-referenced the vendor contract office to verify the timestamp. It's a match. He texted one word. Confirmed. Rick has it? Yes. He has the receipts. We're going to the debate tonight. You're coming, Wayne. Because she can't do this without you. I looked at Leo. He was drawing a picture of a dinosaur eating a man in a suit. Who was that? I asked. That's the bad man, Leo said. The one who made the mayor sad. I took a breath. Leo, I said, get your shoes. We're going to a debate. The debate hall was packed. The energy was electric. Thorne stood at his podium, looking smug. Ashley stood at hers, looking like a statue. I stood in the wings, hidden by the curtain. I had my laptop. I had the file Sarah sent me. Thorne was speaking. The mayor talks about integrity, but her own staff is a revolving door of scandal. She can't manage a campaign. How can she manage a city? Ashley gripped the podium. My staff changes are internal matters. Let's talk about the budget. Deflecting, Thorne sneered. I looked at Sarah, who was standing by the press pit. She nodded. She handed a thick folder to Rick, the reporter who had interviewed us. Dave from the debate AV booth gave me a look that said he'd seen the folder too, and he didn't look away. Rick stood up. He held up the folder. Mr. Thorne! Rick shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. We just received verified server logs from City Hall showing unauthorized access to the mayor's security cameras at 2 a.m. on the night the photo was taken. The keycard used belongs to Thorne Sanitation Services, a company owned by your brother-in-law. Did you order surveillance on your opponent? Thorne turned pale. The smugness vanished. That's, that's preposterous. We have the timestamps, Rick pressed. And the IP trace. It's all here. The police have a copy. The crowd erupted. Phones came out. The murmur grew into a roar. Ashley looked confused. She looked at the crowd. Then she looked toward the wings. She saw me. I stepped out, just a little. I gave her a small, awkward wave. She didn't smile. She stared at me for a long heartbeat. Then she turned back to the microphone. The statue cracked, and the woman stepped out. "Mr. Thorne," she said, her voice ringing clear. "You wanted to talk about character? Let's talk about it. You bought lies because you couldn't beat my truth. I fired my manager because I was afraid of your rumors. That was my mistake. I let you dictate the narrative. I let fear make my decisions." She looked directly at the camera. "Wayne Garcia is the best strategist I know, and he's a good man. And I'm hiring him back." The crowd erupted. Thorne looked like he wanted to vomit. I leaned against the wall, feeling the adrenaline crash. "Did we win?" Leo asked, tugging my hand. "Not yet," I said, "but we stopped losing." The after-party was insane. We won the debate. The polls were swinging back. I was in the corner, drinking a soda, watching Ashley work the room. She was glowing. She saw me. She excused herself from a donor and walked over. The room seemed to part for her. "You found the logs," she said. "Technically, Sarah found them," I said. "I just made sure Rick got them. You came back. I forgot my stapler." She stepped closer. "You're terrible at lying. I'm a political strategist. Lying is in the job description. I'm just bad at lying to you." She looked down at my shoes, then back up. "I'm sorry. For firing you? It was cowardly. It was politics," I said. "You had to protect the seat." "It was wrong," she corrected. "I missed you. And not just because the coffee tasted like mud. I have a specific ratio," I said. 2 scoops, 1 prayer." "Wayne," she said. She teased. "Single dad like you can't handle a strong mayor." I blinked. "What?" That's what the comment said. The nasty one. He can't handle a strong woman. I laughed, a nervous, awkward sound. "Well, internet trolls? They were trying to say I was weak." She took a step forward. "I don't think you're weak," she said, her voice dropping to a professional register. "I think you're the only one who can handle the schedule. But maybe we should verify that. After the election, with clear boundaries." I swallowed. "Are you inviting me to dinner, Mayor? On the record?" "I'm opening a dialogue," she said. "About dinner. Public place. 1 hour. No press. Just a calendar invite." "I might be available," I said, "depending on the polling data." She smiled, a real smile. "Smart answer, Garcia." Election night, 6 weeks later. The confetti cannons went off. She won by 12 points. A landslide. I was backstage, holding a sleeping Leo on my shoulder. The noise was deafening. Ashley came running off the stage. She was flushed, victorious. She hugged her parents, her staff. Then she saw me. She walked over. She didn't care about the cameras. "We did it," she said. "You did it," I said. "I just made the coffee." She reached out and touched Leo's hair gently. "You kept me grounded. You and the dinosaur artist here." "So?" I said. "What now?" "The campaign is over. The contract is done. The work is just starting," she said. "I need a chief of staff. Someone who isn't afraid to tell me when I'm being a robot." "I have conditions," I said. "Weekends off unless it's a crisis. A dedicated Lego zone in the office." "Done," she said. She turned to the press line, waving them over. Flashbulbs popped. "Everyone," she announced, her voice projecting without a mic. "I'd like to introduce you to Wayne Garcia, my new chief of staff. He's the one who kept the lights on." She put a hand on my shoulder, firm, professional, but warm. It wasn't a claim. It was an acknowledgement. She was giving me the credit I earned. "I'll take it," I whispered. "Good," she said, leaning in so only I could hear. "Because tomorrow, we schedule that dinner." I grinned. "Is that a directive?" "It's a plan, Garcia. Stick to it." We walked out into the lights together. the shieldmates, the mayor, and the Joker. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't looking for the exit. I was exactly where I was supposed to be,